Can we try it here on live? Do you think it's going to be too messy?
We can't do a full one, but we can do a few rounds of that breath. Let's do it. So what you're going to do is you would choose if you're going through the nose or the mouth. For right now, we'll go through the nose. It's gentler. Okay. And you're just going to think about the inhale, and then you're just going to like drop the exhale. So the inhale is quite active.
Okay.
And then you just immediately drop away the exhale. So you're not doing the exhale, you're not doing a sigh, but it's a reflex of the inhale. And so you just sort of
like a breath of fire kind of thing.
Yeah, but very active on the inhale.
Like this?
Yeah, and we're removing, like with breath of fire, we're removing the pause between the top of the breath, the top of the inhale, and the bottom of the exhale. So it's just in, let it go, 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 in, let it go.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll just do 10, let's do 10 rounds of that. Okay.
Okay.
So first of all, yeah, find your seat. And if anyone's playing along with us at home, feel your sits bone on your chair. Don't do this if you're driving, please.
Don't close your eyes when you're driving.
Yeah. So you'll feel your feet on the ground. You'll feel your hips just resting in your sits bones, just resting in the chair. And start to notice the movement of the breath from your lower belly. And so that's where we're going to be drawing the breath from. So rather than, it's not like a hyperventilation where it comes very much from the chest. This is, like you said with breath of fire, very active. It's the diaphragm. You can even pop a hand on your lower belly if that helps you feel it. And as you inhale, you're going to notice that your belly expands. And as you exhale, you're going to feel it come in. And all of our attention is on inhaling, inhaling, inhaling. And the exhale is just going to fall away. So we're going to go for 10. Yeah. So ready, everyone? And pause there. Just let the breath do whatever it wants. You might feel a little tingly in your fingers. You might feel a little warmth in your chest. Yeah. What are you noticing, Sheida?
I'm noticing here.
Yeah.
The one that I practice, it's very powerful coming from your belly.
Mm-hmm.
When I do it on my own in my daily rituals, I do like back to back, like.
Mm-hmm.
Is this that? Or you have to?
It's a longer inhale than that.
It's a longer inhale.
Yeah. But the practice you've just described is it is an energizing technique, right? It is. Yeah. And the longer version of what we just did, the one that can have transformational properties, you would be lying on your back so that part of your neck wouldn't want to be like hanging on. But it's amazing that what you're doing is you're actually burning off so much carbon dioxide in your body that is activating another part of your brain. And so in the same way that a drug does, it's tapping into that un- and subconscious, and then releasing whatever's ready to be released there.
I actually feel kind of looseness up here too. As if it is expanding. Like this lightness.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Because when I think, I'm not sure what everybody but when I think a lot and I analyze a lot. I'm always like working my brain, and I feel like sometimes it's so tense, it gets tense.
Yeah.
And I have to actively work on it to just loosen up. But with just 10 breaths that we just did, it just feels like expanded and loosen up a little bit.
Yeah. And I would say that part of that also is by putting your attention so much lower down, right? It gets so hot and heated up there and contracted when it's working and it knows it should be working and it wants to work. And sometimes just by drawing your awareness down, suddenly it gets to like, oh, right, there's space there. Yeah.
And that is how you can open your chakras, the energy points in your body? Is that what it works on in your?
I'm not actually sure. I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll let yogis speak to that, but it is amazing how the shot, what it is doing is, right, you're focusing on your root chakra, focusing on the lower two chakras. By putting all of your energy down there, you experienced a looseness in your upper chakras.
Yes. Fascinating. Just easy breath without any medication or any kind of like foreign substance that you can heal yourself on your own.
Yeah. And it's so much of our own blood chemistry is regulated by the breath, right? If you hum, you release nitric oxide 100-fold more than you normally do. And nitric oxide is a vasodilator, and it's also a natural antibacterial. So just by humming for a few minutes, your body releases an antibacterial.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah. And there's so many things like that where we can actually, like you said before, like the body has this capacity to heal itself. It is made to heal itself. And by what I love about this breath, way of viewing breath of this school that I'm training with, is the goal is to be able to listen to and trust your own breath intelligence. That your breath has an intelligence and knows what is healing, knows what it needs, knows what it's ready to release or what it's ready to find. In that way, it's sort of like, I know intuitive eating, right, is a big thing at the moment. You know, this sort of listen to, and it's so hard for those of us who haven't listened to those messages for so long. We feel like we don't even know what that voice is, what the true voice is, not the thoughts that have been implanted in us. But I think with that and with this, right, you can just, there's a way to get in touch with it, with that inner voice. And then the breath will show you what it wants. And it's quite amazing what it can reveal when it does, I think.
Wow. This is so powerful. Do you have a ritual that you do every day to fill your body with energy, and or maybe at the end of the day that will ground you and put you in a resting?
Yeah. Oh boy, do I have a long morning. I need to have a lot, like 2-hour minimum in the morning to get myself ready to, like I said, I find it so, I'm so sponge-like with other people's emotions and energies.
Obviously, for sure.
Yeah, that so every morning I journal. And because I'm a theater person, it's a dialogue. So I'm journaling with dear voice of my heart. And she writes back to me every day. And we'll sometimes have dialogues where I will fight her on something. But it is trying to get in touch with this. And sometimes I'll call it universe, or sometimes I'll call it something else. And that's, I think, part of finding that voice inside. We've talked about outside voice, but also, isn't voice also find the inner voice, the inner truth that is not the one planted from systems outside of you, but is actually true.
Great point that you brought up. How one can find their own voice buried underneath all these layers of the outer voices and all these people who have fed them with all these different ways of thinking, behaving, being, and let alone the society and everything else that play a major part in one person's becoming. How
Yeah.
can you find that voice and
Yeah.
unlock
Yeah.
and know that that is your voice, not everybody else's?
Yep. Yep. No, and I actually I have a whole checklist in the back of my journal about
Okay.
if I'm believing something, if I think a thought or a belief is true, I have this whole like checklist of like 12 points I put together to decide if it's if it's true or not, or if it's something from outside of me, because I don't know. It's like I'm sifting so many different thoughts, but I know now that at least I choose to believe that if something makes me feel contracted or makes it feel like there's not enough time, or it's all on me, or I'm alone, or there's only one way something could happen, or any sort of, I mean, you can feel how contracted all those thoughts are, that there's something not perfect about this situation, that something needs to change with reality. And it's only by going through that checklist and being like, no, this thought, I choose not to believe this thought. This came from somewhere else, or it's old, or it's an old habit that kept me going. But I don't want to believe that now. But it's so hard.
It is. It's easy to say.
Yeah.
When it comes to executing that, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the whole path to growth too, and evolving as a person, is to unlearn what does not serve you anymore.
And we have all of these foreign entities that have infiltrated into us that we have no idea.
And just limit us. And the fact that when somebody is aware of that, I think awareness, becoming aware is the beginning of the change, right?
Yeah.
And make a difference. It's the beginning, not necessarily the end result, because you can decide not to go with it, right? You can just say, oh, I'm aware, but I rather go with my old thoughts because that's safe and that's how I know how to be.
Yeah.
But the unknown and passing through that, acting on it is the whole other challenge and other journey.
Yeah. And then also how to then sit with emotions, right? And watch them. And it's something that I feel like I've never understood until recently, because people talk about it, right? Oh, you just need to sit with that, or be present with that, or accept that. And it's only so after I journal each morning, then I meditate. And recently my meditation has really just been about like, okay, how wide expansion again, like how expanded, I'll use the breath to get myself just like really expanded. Sometimes I can expand so wide, I feel like I'm touching, like I'm expanding out into the universe. And sometimes I'm like, nope, I got to my shoulders, right? But making room for the movement, the energetic movement of emotion. I've been sitting so much recently with fear and what fear feels like. And just, I'm so shocked by how much fear. I'm sorry, it's a podcast about being brave, and I'm just talking about how fearful I feel.
The way to bravery is to walk through your fear.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah. And then what is it like to feel fear in my body? And to notice, okay, I know what I'm feeling around my chest or around like solar plexus, right? I can feel it. It is energy. And then also the same time for me just to say, okay, and I am bigger than it. Like it's moving within, it's the vessel again. It's the instrument. Yes. I'm larger than it, and it has room. It has all the room it wants to move. And noticing that how that then will sometimes start to move down, and how if I'm feeling anger, it'll sometimes start to move up. And I'm still figuring out which direction sadness goes, but just like you said, awareness, just sort of like getting curious about, okay, there's an energy and I'm going to figure out how it wants to move within me. And I'm going to try to stay out of the way. It's like speaking again, isn't it? But I think fear, particularly for me, I think because it's been so prominent in my life, how do I not get sucked into its story and think, oh no, there's something wrong. This isn't okay. I need to be cautious about what I'm doing or not upset someone. Or, and I find fear particularly sucks me back into its energy field. And so I'm sort of actively trying to just be like, okay, I am feeling fear present right now. Let me get curious with it. And I would say 30% of the time I can, 70% of the time it goes, sucks me in.
Because sometimes fear can really paralyze you. And you, although you are aware of it, you cannot really, you're like, okay, I'm aware it's there. Let me get curious. But then it does something to you that you're like, you won't be able to do nothing.
Yeah.
Your voice doesn't come out. When you talk,
Yeah.
it's like, it does all kinds of things to your system.
Yeah.
So what would you think would be the best in such situations where one is paralyzed and don't know what to do and has only very few techniques to overcome it?
The one that I've been finding most useful for me is if you can just notice that place at the very bottom of your seat if you're sitting. And you might, as you inhale, you might feel it's your pelvic floor that sort of moves down. And you feel a little movement at your seat. And you can sort of imagine that you're just breathing down into that space, so into that pelvic floor, into that perineum, into the tush against the chair. And you feel that little expansion. And for me, it's noticing that there is that deep, slow breath that can move, even as the fear is present. And to me, the fear always feels much higher. It feels much more my, like, from the base of my, right where my ribs come together in the front of my chest, like right below the bra line to the heart. Like that's where the fear in me wants to live. And so saying, okay, there's like a scared little rabbit up there. And at the same time, I can feel that like almost like an umbrella opening out upside down against the chair, or if I'm standing or if I'm sitting, whatever position, but feeling that down and out, down and out. And that for me provides the grounding. I don't know. What did you feel?
I was actually doing that as you were, and it does. I do meditation too, and I'm very curious about this emotions, strong emotions: fear, doubt, love, compassion. Easy to say, but how can one be 100% compassionate or 100% loving?
Yeah.
I don't think for a human being, that's the whole point of coming into this world, to learn how to be that, to learn how to feel those emotions or face the fears. And I came across this book, The Heart of the Soul, it's called, Gary Zukov.
Okay.
And he wrote a bunch of other books, fascinating. It's about the spirit and the soul and the emotions and the connection between all this. And he described it beautifully, how emotions are generated in the body, like energy generated from food. That food goes through our GI tract and gets all the nourishing stuff, goes through the body and the body functions. And the energy that circulates in the human body is through the center points, like you mentioned, the chakras, that we are connected to the universe through those chakras and through those center points. And our energy is always running as a circle in our body, has to run like an engine. And if that energy is circling through fear and doubt, we experience pain. And if it goes through, is expressing itself through love and compassion and trust, it produces the energy of joy
Yeah.
and all that. So he says that pay attention to the sensation and where it is generated in the body. And that particular spot in your body shows that you are processing something through fear and doubt rather than love and trust.
Yeah.
So when we are aware of that, then we can heal ourselves
Yeah.
way much easier than putting medication in our body and just pluck the surface of the whole problem.
Yeah. And there's a beautiful practice one can do of, if you can identify within yourself sort of where that is holding, and then just sort of breathe into that spot, because we have this amazing imagination that can imagine, if I said to you, your big right toe, you would suddenly imagine it. You could feel it even a little bit potentially, right? It's amazing what the imagination can do.
For sure.
And so putting your awareness, your imagination on that part where you feel there is some holding, and breathing wide into it. And once you feel like you've filled all the way into it, actually filling it a little bit more so you can't hold it, like filling all the way into it, and then hold it for as long as you possibly can. Hold the top of the breath for as long as you can, and just be like, okay, get as noisy as you want, get as big as you want. I'm listening to you. Because so much of the body is being like, it's been ignored, so it keeps crying out louder and louder and causing aches and disease. And so you hold it for as long as you can, and then we can't hold your breath anymore. You just, and you go to that release we were talking about, that exhale. And then it's a way of, like this author is saying, of noticing and honoring what's there. Because I feel like that's a phrase that gets thrown around. It's like, oh, honor it, welcome it. And I've been like, okay, yes, but how? Because it gets very heady for me. I start talking to it. But actually talking to it in its language, which is the language of movement in the body. And then just noticing how after a few, 3 or 4 of those, something might have moved.
It will remove the blockage.
Yeah.
The energy.
And then the other, I feel like I've become an evangelicist for the breath. But the other thing what that author is writing about, of that, you know, that line that connects the mind and the body, and how that most of the connections in the body are for the mind. They go one way. It's mind into the body.
Yes.
Right. That's how I can move my right foot. I could kick my right foot right now because my mind told my foot to do that. But there's one highway in the body that also runs up the center, like you said, along that chakra line. But there's one highway in the body called the vagus nerve.
Yes.
And that is the only nerve that goes from the body into the mind. So it sends the mind information from the body. And the vagus nerve, which is actually a collection of nerves, has connection points at the diaphragm, at the lungs, at the larynx. So that's where the voice is. So all of these places where we breathe. And so by taking a really good full breath, taking a breath that just feels good and full, you've just told your vagus nerve to tell your mind that you're okay.
That deserves a moment of silence and sitting with it. Because we keep telling ourselves that we are in danger.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And the mind does it so many times. It creates that fear in the body, and it becomes this unending cycle of, again, you just made the contraction, right? Yeah.
And we stop breathing, and the rest that follows.
Because I'm sure you know this as an actress, right? The body doesn't know the difference. If you get activated like that, you go into sympathetic nervous system. And it doesn't matter if you're going on stage or you're ordering a coffee or you're raising your hand to tell the teacher something, or you're being chased by a bear. It is all one and the same to the nervous system. And our poor sympathetic nervous systems are so overused. And every notification from our phone, right? Or now watches, right? Every one of those.
And the things.
Yeah. Everything that tells us something is urgent, which I think is a highly overused word at the moment, right? Is just activating our sympathetic nervous system.
And the things we do to our poor bodies. Yes, yes.
Yeah.